Hello, this is my favorite version of Time Lords. Keep in mind I am free to play, I don't have all ultra rare or super rare spells and traps. So you might want to add some of them if you have them anyways. I tried various different builds with this deck, and after trying different things I ended up on this build. In my opinion, it's the most fun and most consistent build of the ones I tried. You might be wondering why I don't play more Time Lords, and the reason is if you draw them all at the same time you basically brick and are likely going to lose. You don't want your hand to be full of Time Lords. So this deck relies on Time Maiden to get you the Time Lords you need. So that's the most important card in your deck. So of course 3 copies of Time Maiden, 1 copy of YuGiOh, that's the one that halves your opponent's life points, great at the start of the game. 1 copy of Metion, great way to clear the opponent's board. 1 copy of Raytheon. It deals damage to your opponent equal to the opponent's monster it battles. So if your opponent's life points are lower, you can basically win the game. If your opponent's life points are lower than the opponent's monster's attack. Just an example, if your opponent has blue eyes, you can deal 3000 damage if this effect goes through, resolves. And the last Time Lord I play is Sundion. This one deals 2000 damage after the battle. It always deals 2000, and also it's a great card if your opponent has Skill Drain or something like that, because it has 4000 attack and defense instead of 0. So that's a way around Skill Drain for this deck. Then I play 1 Eldritch because I randomly got one from opening packs, so of course I didn't craft it just for this deck, I randomly already had one, and it works very well in this deck because you play a lot of spells and traps. You basically always have material to activate the first effect, and you have also some spells and traps to use for the second effect. So this card works really great in this deck. 1 Kaiju, Shizukiru, because it has the highest attack. There are some nice combos, of course, Metion, Shizukiru, or Raytheon, Shizukiru. And then hand traps, 2 Max C. I would probably play 3, but I only have 2. And 2 Ash, I think 2 is enough. If you have bad luck like me and always end up drawing all at the same time. But you can also play 3. So those are the monsters. Then spells, of course the staples, Feather Duster, Reborn, Lightning Storm. Forbidden Shells is a great card, the best low rarity card in the game. It's a must to play 3. Staple for me. 2 Pot of Extravagance, because you don't need your extra deck anyways in this deck. It's a must in this deck. 1 Foolish Burial. You can use Foolish for Time Maiden or for Eldritch, whatever is better in the situation. 1 1 for 1 to get Time Maiden. one Piri Rise map. You can either get Time Maiden or any of the Time Lords except Sundion. You can't get this one because it has 4000, but you can get all the other Time Lords and Time Maiden with Piri Rise map. One copy of Mount of the Bound Creator, so your monsters cannot be targeted by effects, so they can't, your opponent won't be able to target them with negating effects. And I also play one enemy controller. It is a great combo with Time Lords if your opponent has a face-up monster. Sadly, face down doesn't work. But if your opponent has a face-up monster, you can chain this to the Time Lords effects. If they would return to your deck, you could instead tribute them for enemy controller to take control of your opponent's monster during your standby phase. So this card is great in this deck. And then traps. I play a lot of traps with effect damage because you probably want to win with effect with burn damage with this deck. So 3 Ring of Destruction, great card. 3 Torrential Tribute because your Time Lords are immune to Torrential Tribute. 1 Compulsory, it's just a great card, versatile card. 1 Blazing Mirror Force, basically a Mirror Force that deals burn damage. 1 Lost Wind. 3 Gravedigger's Trap Hole. 1 Solemn Judgment. And 1 Miraculous Descent. This lets you revive your Time Maiden. And you can basically get 2 Time Lords with this, because Time Maiden can get you 2 Time Lords. Not during the same turn, of course. But you also get it back into your grave with this. And you can use it for Eldritch Data because it stays on the field. The trap stays on the field. And regarding the extra deck, you don't really need an extra deck at all because the only way to Exceed Summon is Monster Reborn and Eldritch if you even play it. So you rarely ever Exceed Summon. But if possible, you still should play at least those 2 cards. Because this can deal 2000 damage and this can destroy 1 card and deal 1000 damage. And you could also play some rank 11 or higher Exceed monsters. There are some that can be summoned by overlaying them on those monsters. But I don't have any of those. But if you have them, you should play them. And those other monsters are just for the pot of extravagance. You still want to play 15 cards in your extra deck to reduce the chance of those getting banished. So the way you play this deck is basically, it's better to go second in my opinion. And then depending on what board your opponent has, if your opponent has monsters with effects, with powerful effects they could use during the next turn, it's usually better to use Metaion to return them, to clear the field first. And otherwise always try to summon YuGiOh first to halve your opponent's life points. And after you played YuGiOh and halved your opponent's life points, you try to win with burn damage.